what's your journey been to get to where you are today? And you can talk about your school days growing up, all the way through to being the
Yeah,
caddy.
so it's with me. It's been a long journey with being in many different places. Obviously, due to my dad and his work. So I was born in Berlin, then moved to England, back to Germany, and then to Norway. I arrived in Norway at the age of 3, I think,
Right.
two or three. Then I had my childhood there until till I was 10. Lived in both Oslo and Stavanger, and that was really where my football picked up and where I started really enjoying football, of course, because that was obviously the ages where you start playing.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of my childhood there was spent with all my friends and on the pitch and just playing as much football as possible. Then at the age of 10, we moved to Manchester without really anything planned apart from what school we were going to go to, which is obviously Cheadle Hulme.
Yeah.
And then 6 months, I think around 6 months late. Well, as soon as I came, I got a trial in the it was called the Shadow Squad at the time.
Yeah.
So the players who they weren't sure if were good enough for the academy, but they thought had potential. So I joined them and trained there for around 6 months, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got a trial at the academy, and then a few weeks later they basically pulled me in and said we would like to sign you and make you a part of the academy.
Yeah.
Which obviously for me was a sort of a dream come true because I was as a baby I've always been a Blue and a City fan, and coming from Norway it was always a big dream to play for City. And then 3 years later I then had to move school to St. Bede's as a part of the City education program. So we did more or less half a day of school and then the rest of the day training. And then got my GCSEs and all that from St. Bede's. And then after that, we went into we had college in terms of education. We had college at the school next door to the CFA, next to the academy, where I got all my education done there after my GCSEs. And in terms of football, I stayed at City until I was 19. So I had 9 years in the academy, and there were some big changes from when I first joined until I left. But it was a journey that I'll never forget, and I have many great memories there.
Yeah.
And then when I was 19, I decided it was time for me to make the next step in my career and go into professional football and first team football. In order, obviously, to gain as much first team experience as possible.
Yeah.
And then I decided to make the move to NAC Breda in Holland. The start was obviously very tough, as you'd expect coming from an academy into first team.
Mm-hmm.
With a lot of things I needed to adjust to, such as the culture, the football, the language, everything basically. And then I managed to get into the team and played very well for 9 games and then ruptured my quad.
Right.
So then I was out for a good few months, came back, Achilles flared up, out again, and then the Corona break.
Mm.
So then it was into this season, and this season has been very good for me. Been healthy, been fit, and started every game possible. And made my debut for the under-21s Norway.
Yeah.
So no, it's been a very good season so far.
Awesome. It sounds like just the journey just began.
Yeah, it's just beginning. It's just beginning. That's for sure.
No, definitely. And in that days, obviously, you've got such a background of being adaptable. Obviously, moving countries when you're younger, moving countries when you're older now. And how did you go about managing that and going from different culture to culture and moving around? What did you learn from those things?
For me, it's always been really really positive, I'd say. I'm always a person who likes to experience new things, new countries, new different cultures, different food, different everything. And I'd say it's just trying to be as much part of the Dutch people, for example, when I arrived there, to be with them as much as possible, to adapt as quickly as possible. But yeah, I'd say it's something that everybody should try and do, and try to experience new places, new cultures, because it only broadens your horizon when you go and experience new things.
How would you describe high performance?
So high performance. First of all, I'd say that's something that you're always striving for. I'd say even when you think you're performing at a high level, I'd say you shouldn't be satisfied with that level. You should always then strive for the next.
Yeah.
But in terms of actual high performance, I would probably say it's performing to the max of your ability, as consistently as possible. Okay. Because I'd say there's no point of having one good game at the best of your ability, but then you have 3 games where you're nowhere near it.
Yeah.
So it's being as consistent as possible to the closest of your max ability, basically.
In terms of you saying you've gone through some lows and setbacks with injury, what's gone through your mind at those times, and how have you overcome those things?
Instantly, of course, it's. I think it's very normal that there's a lot of negative things that go through your head. Yeah. Will I come back the same player? Will this cause a problem for me in the long term? Mm-hmm. Will I get back into the team? Yeah. But then I'd say it's going through that process is you need to, because I'm a person who believes a lot in psychology and the mental side of the game. That's very, very important. And speaking to a psychologist is something that I've done for a very long time. Yeah. And the thing that helps me in those situations is getting my mind away from things, away from the injury, away from football. Yeah. Totally. So doing hobbies, whether you're studying or cooking or reading a book or just something to get your mind away from things. But then during the process, it's always working as hard as possible to try and come back even stronger. And I would say that was for me with the Corona break was something that was a big positive, because I had time to get stronger. And this season, after my last injuries, I came back in a better shape than what I was before.
Just looking at all your accomplishments so far, obviously you're just at the beginning of that journey, and there's lots more to come. But what are you most proud of at present, and why?
I would say I'm very proud of the fact that I had the courage to probably leave a safe setup from academy football. Yeah. Living at home with your family, with your friends, the staff, everything around your life. Yeah. But I'd say leaving that to go somewhere abroad where you don't have anybody, you're totally by yourself. Yeah. And then succeeding. Well, I wouldn't say succeed, because I personally don't think you ever succeed, but you're always striving to succeed. But I'd say leaving England to come abroad by myself and making a life for myself and doing well. Yeah. So that's probably what I'm proudest of at the moment.
Role models. Have you got any role models? Is anyone you look up to, and if there are, who are they?
I certainly have people I look up to. I'd say my dad is one that I've always looked at. Is a person that gives me a lot of motivation and inspiration. He's had a lot of setbacks, some major things that's hit him in the face, but he's just kept going and beat all of them. So obviously, yeah, my dad, and then I'd say you pick up things from all the best people in their sport, in their environment. You pick up small things all the time. For example, I was listening to a podcast with Tyrone Mings a few days ago, and one of the things he said as well was about the psychological side of sports. How important it is to have something else to do.
Yeah.
So your life is not, so you don't put all your eggs basically in one basket. And if I don't succeed in this, or if I get an injury, then what else? What do you have?
Yeah.
So I'd say I'd take small things from a lot of people, but I'd say probably my father is the one that gives me a lot of inspiration.
What are your 3 non-negotiable behaviours you would expect from yourself or anybody you come into contact with?
I'd say the first one is one thing that I live by and will always live by, is hard work.
Yeah.
I think you always have to give your max in whatever you do. If you don't, I don't really see the point of doing it.
Yeah.
I'd say respect for the people around you, the people doing things for you. For example, in football, say the kitchen staff, the physios, everybody, that you have respect for all of them, because without them you wouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah. And in terms of that, Cole, what do you mean by respect? What sort of things would you be doing to show that?
Just general stuff in terms of being polite, listening to advice they give you, just saying thank you if people make some food for you, or just the general stuff. Respecting your elders, respecting the coaches. If they give you advice, they're only out there to try and make you a better person, a better player, and they want the best for you.
Yeah.
And the last one, I'd probably say, just never giving up.
Yeah.
You'll always get setbacks. You'll always have good times, but just continue what you're doing, and keep working hard. And I'd never get too high, never get too low.
Yeah.
So, say if you're succeeding at the time, don't try to show off too much, and because it can hit you very quickly.
Yeah.
And when you're low and got bad times, I'd say don't try to get too low, because there'll be good times just around the corner as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. And somebody else said to me, just live in the moment and enjoy the moments as well. Enjoy the bad times.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, bad times will happen to anyone, and through those times, a lot of the time, you'll learn the most in the bad times. I mean, me personally, I learned more about my body during my last 2 injuries than what I've done in my whole lifetime, probably.
Yeah.
So I learned so much about myself physically as well as mentally as well. And I'd probably say that was a very good moment for me to get injured when you look back at it, because you learn so much.
No, definitely. Those just take the positives out of them. And, no, good. Next question is: if you could give anybody or any Stockport Grammar School pupils any advice, if you could go back to being at a school now, what would you give them?
First of all, enjoy the moment, because everybody, when they leave school, every person I've ever met will say school was probably one of the best times of their life. Always. There's you have a lot of fun. You're learning. You can do whatever you're interested in. But also give it your all in everything you do, even if you don't really enjoy the academic side of school, still give it your all. Give it 100%, because it'll be useful in the future. And just go in and enjoy every day. You'll have great memories, and it's something that you look back on when you're older, with, like I said, many great memories and something that you will remember for the rest of your life. But yeah, the main thing for me is just hard work in everything you do.